Off and on the clock, everything you need to know for this week 2 slate on Underdog. We're going to take a bird's eye view of everything going on. We're going to talk about the CMC swap situation, which is really interesting on how you want to handle that. We'll go through our favorite scroll the F down gems, the guys who aren't getting drafted a ton. And then we're going to hop in some drafts. We're going to have the Deposit Kingdom week 2 league dropping at 3 p.m. We're going to hop in the Dog Bowl, talk about 12-person strategy for this week. And then, of course, we'll finish with some pick'ems, as we always do around here. Got to get some spice. John is out doing a winery tour, but Nez and I are ready to roll up our sleeves and go to the work for the people, the true men of the people around here. Let's roll it, Nez. Yeah, I didn't even realize John wasn't going to be here until he mentioned he had a vineyard tour to do. So GG's to him.
He's flying off by the seat of his pants this week. I guess in Canada they do Thursday weddings. His life is so extravagant. He told me he took a puddle jumper, a floater to the wedding. It was 25 minutes away, and they landed on a plane to get to this wedding. I mean, this dude's life is just I can't understand it. I'm too busy max entering the primetime palooza and sweating a Chan Cook combo for first over there.
Shout out to your you could have used that James Cook performance in the Dog Bowl last year, couldn't you have?
Oh man, I'm just James Cook faithful for forever. You know, I just like being like, you know, just day one James Cook believer. You know, it is what it is. But man, if he's getting goal line carries for the rest of the season, look out. That's scary.
Yeah, Nez, real quick, I don't know if it's just on my end, but your video's been a little clippy for me. Your audio's been holding strong. But
I got like a newer camera, so if you guys are seeing me choppy, I'll give this thing a reset.
Okay. Yes. Do not worry, Noah. We are going to talk about the CMC situation. Maybe we could just lead with that. Obviously a big thing to kind of wrap our heads around here. As of right now, have we seen a practice report today? Was he limited again? Do we know if he got in a practice today, Nez?
I have not seen anything from him. We got practice reports and official designations for the Bears guys for Sunday night, which is like ironic because they're the Sunday night game, but nothing yet for CMC. But that next update will be very, very important. I do think, Noah's been asking, and I think we should just really just jump right into that conversation, because for me, I'm really curious to hear where you stand on that. We obviously, back-to-back limited practices for CMC. I believe that was kind of what was going on last week, and then Friday he pulled himself out. I mean, I really don't know what to make of it. But where do you stand on it? Let's talk about this from the 6-person draft perspective.
Yes. Yeah, and again, there's two conversations here, right? There's the conversation of like, is he going to play or not, whatever. Honestly, like for our conversation, it doesn't really matter. It's like, how do we position ourselves to, no matter what happens, right? How do we best position ourselves, whether he doesn't play or not? Maybe we just real quick tell the swap setup here. I know you guys talk about it a lot, but because he has a Q tag right now, if you draft him and he's later ruled out, you're not taking a 0. You are going to get the next best available by rank who wasn't drafted at his position in your draft. Or if you set your ranks and you want to shuffle them around, you could get a guy, let's say a guy like Zach Moss, right? Never getting drafted. If you put him up to the top of your ranks, you could be insured to have Zach Moss on your team once Christian McCaffrey was ruled out. Is that the best explanation for the swaps?
Yes. And if you are taking McCaffrey as your flex player, like i.e. your RB2, then you can actually swap to a wide receiver if you prefer. So your options there are very plentiful, and that dynamic, I think, important to remind people, because these games are growing more and more, every week. Given that dynamic, Pete, I just have no idea how I can pass up 6th-round Christian McCaffrey in these 6th-round drafts. I've been playing these games a lot. I played thousands of slates across different contests and different sports. When you have a player that can break a slate and you have the swap option, and they can be taken in the 6th round, you just take that player. He could play and it might not work. I've seen this spot emerge numerous times across different sports. You draft Christian McCaffrey in the 6th round, no questions asked.
Yes. And there's basically the one way, the reason I completely agree with you, although I'm going to give one different kind of like nuance thing after that, is there's 3 ways this plays out, right? CMC doesn't play. Jordan Mason becomes a good play. CMC does play and even has like 80-90% of his workload that we're used to, just an uber smash of all smashes where he's going. Or there's the third, which I think is resulting a little bit in this ADP, which is he plays and then it's a split backfield. And he's got 12 touches. Jordan Mason has 12, and they both cannibalize each other's upside. From our purposes, I'm just ignoring that scenario because again, if you want to assign likelihoods, I do still think that's only like a third of the time that happens. But in the other scenario where he doesn't play, what you are swapping to, the opportunity cost of who you're taking in the 5th or 6th round, it's all the same. Literally all the same guys. You're taking Kamara there. Guess what? If I take CMC, I'm getting swapped to Ramondre. You want to do my Ramondre versus your Kamara? Whoever you're taking, I will take my swap head to head up against them. So you're literally sacrificing nothing in 2 of the 3 scenarios that play out with CMC.
Exactly. That's my whole point, is like, it's kind of like the scenario where you have like the 3 doors, right? And then you find out one door, one door isn't the
Monty
answer.
Hall, yeah.
That little problem. Thank you. That's exactly how I feel. And it's like, okay, if I get like the CMC inactive, my swaps are just like so plentiful. It's different for 12-person drafts because he doesn't last until the 6th round, and your swap options are obviously not as good when you're drafting 72 players versus 36. So I've seen the conversation go around, and for me, it's a no-brainer. I have so much CMC right now, I've been dabbling in the mini royales quite a bit. Shout out Numi for the contest variety this week in the lobbies. That one's a little bit top heavier, 75 entry max, $10 to enter. And I think I have like 75% CMC there in the 6th round. I just, if I do end up getting burnt with a 50% snap share CMC, it was worth the risk, because that is just a play that you do, because if we get 80% snap CMC, I mean, the efficiency alone is just insane. But I think we're going to continue to get him in the 6th round, Pete, because ETR's latest projection update
don't have him.
And they did it first, and now they don't. And I hope you had Debo bags, because he is holy shit. He's popping.
One other note on that too, like the actual like football guy thing is, it's so hard for these coaches. It's the same thing. How many times has Sean McVay told us he wants to scale back Kyron's workload and then does it? So it's like I feel like if CMC's active, sure, maybe they take some touches off his plate. This is the same team that was playing him deep into the 4th quarter of meaningless games last year to try to get him a touchdown record. I don't think they give a fuck. But here's my nuanced take, John or Nez, and why it's kind of been messing with me.
Okay.
If we had individual level swaps per draft, I would have 100% CMC. 100%. Every single draft, I would take him, because I would be able to balance my exposures. A little Ramondre here, a little Kamara here, a little Jerome Ford here. But because you have to have the one size fits all, you put yourself in a spot where you go from 50% CMC to 50% Ramondre. And really the only way to diversify it is to default to the underdog rank, so you get some different variation. But if you have a scroll the F down guy, like I really like Jerome Ford this week, I don't want every single CMC team to be Jerome Ford. And to me, that is the whole crux of why this is really difficult.
That's important to note, right? The way that you play that, you can definitely just like overwhelm your exposures with a player that was never drafted, and now you just are it's that player or bust. So I do agree there is like some funny dynamics with that. But on the other end of that is like, Jordan Mason doesn't go every draft either. So like you probably have a good chance of like 50-50 of those shares being Jordan Mason at the same time. I hope he gets some clarity like today. Please don't make him game time decision. But even if he does, then I'm just riding.
And this is the thing too, right, Nez? So you think if you do, this is why it's been messing with my head. If you want to get diversity in the swaps, you let the underdog, just take the wheel. But you're often going to get a guy who is selected in a lot of the contests, because it's going to be the next. So he might have like a 75-80% draft rate. Whereas if I do my Jerome Ford max swap, I'm getting him at like sub 10%. But then I'm like over leveraged. I'm like so over leveraged on it. And it's like, that's why we have to get individual draft level swaps, because then this would be a non-issue.
It really would be, and they love the idea that this is like a part of the game that we have to figure out, and it also like kind of makes it easier for like the non-hardos. So I mean, I would love to see individual level swaps, but yeah, for now we have to play this nuanced game, which is definitely a lot of fun. And like the biggest talking point right now is like me leaving that second running back position open in all my teams. Like my teams are like the same thing every time. It's a wide receiver in the first round, and then either Debo Samuel or Rashee Rice, an elite tight end, a quarterback, a running back, CMC. That's been my draft like every time in the 6-person drafts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the formula. Did you want to look at when we go over the slate, the Fantasy Labs
Yeah,
page that
sure.
we shared?
Or I
Okay.
also wonder if it's just better to just
Look at
talk about the
ADP.
slate through the lens of the ADP. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the conversations just are natural that way. Let me pull that up, and then I'll share my screen, and we can talk
Yes.
about this. We can look at my ranks too.
Uh,
No, yeah, we'll go behind the Nez brain. These are just literally straight from
yeah.
my noodle here.
And I also just want to mention this because there's all these different points to the CMC conversation. Paul says, couldn't you just draft CMC and then put Mason in swap rankings in case he doesn't play? So this presupposes two things. One, Mason doesn't get taken in your draft. Sometimes he doesn't, but he does get drafted a good amount of the time. I know some people are playing it as they will take CMC only if Mason is still available, which I don't think is bad. But this goes back to the swap and how over leveraged do you want to be. Like I like Mason without CMC is a good play, but he does not separate as a play who is drafted in 80+% of these relative to some of the guys who are going less than 20%. Like in our heads, it seems so good, like Uber smash, but just projection wise, he is not going to be a smash play at his ownership with everyone defaulting to him in swaps.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's so difficult, but like I'm just playing it and hoping that he plays. I mean, like I said, I hope we just get some news, and then I'll worry about this shit on Sunday. But the swap options are still so sick that I'm not really sweating it too hard.
Yeah. All right. I feel like some of the like macro things that are interesting on this slate. Obviously, everyone is hip to the rushing quarterbacks. You know, like by salary, Jane Daniels, the QB9 on Redacted. He's the QB4 here on Underdog. I think that's interesting to talk through.
Yeah.
And then the tight ends, I think, are really interesting. They burned everyone last week. You can basically have whatever tight end you want in every single draft, which is an interesting dynamic because you have to really force yourself to scroll down at the tight end position this week. But anything else jumping out to you?
No, that's been like the biggest things for me is like I know that I want a top 6 or a top 5 QB, and I want one of these top end tight ends. This is like probably one of the best like tight end slates I think we've like ever seen, and they are all so incredibly cheap. And maybe if these guys all had good weeks, they still would be, just because of the fact that there's so many good options here. But for me, like I am heavily prioritizing Laporta and McBride whenever I'm in these 6-person lobbies and in the 12 persons as well. Those game environments to me just jump off the page, like sort of like the Rams game environment did last week, or I guess that was the main slate. The Texans and Colts kind of jumped off the page last week. These two game environments stand out like crazy. So I really want a lot of McBride. Had pretty solid usage, and Marvin Harrison Jr. has not arrived yet. So until that happens, McBride to me feels like a great play, like tight end 3, ADP 20. You can get your 2 top end wide receivers and then take McBride and get Kyler if you want, or Anthony Richardson falls as well on the quarterback side of things. And then Laporta, I think Laporta had really good usage, and this offense looks phenomenal. I can't wait for this Detroit Tampa Bay game. This game's going to be so awesome.
And I was going to say, like, normally on the slates, I feel like there's a few games you're kind of into, you know, that there's only one game where I would consider, I think, a double stack. And it would be this Detroit and Tampa game. Obviously, you can, I don't know if we have updates on the JMO injury, but you're getting him at a low draft rate. You can do some combos there that I think are interesting. Baker not getting drafted. So if you have an element of an awesome game and one of the pieces is not getting drafted, I'm a little open to it. But outside of that, Nez, like there are not a lot of game environments I'm specifically targeting. Like I'm happy to get my skinny stacks, get my low owned gems, and just kind of see how the pieces fit together.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of has like some cautious optimism for the Giants and Commanders, and maybe it's not even cautious. For me, it's cautious because I'm like, hey man, this game could absolutely fall flat on its face, but it's totally setting up as the Giants bounce back, a la last year's week 2 when the Giants had a terrible week 1, then they go to Arizona and like Danny Dimes goes Superman. Uh, I could obviously see that here against the Commanders, but the total's only 43. So I
Yeah.
am trying to absolutely be respectful of that. But man, the Commander secondary, you could argue, I mean, they just lost a starting corner. Like I think it was a 2023 first rounder, Emmanuel Forbes, has a thumb injury, so he's out now. But I mean, like when you lose a corner for the Commanders, like is that even noticeable? You know, like how much worse can we really project these Commanders? But Danny Dimes, man, looks great in these drafts. I mean, he's available. What is he? QB 13, so 6th round in 12-person drafts. It's real. I mean, I don't know, Pete. Are you getting to Danny Dimes? Maybe not in the 6-person, but in 12-person drafts. The Washington Commanders defense is just so bad.
Yeah, I haven't done it. It's funny because we were just doing block party with JM and we did a Daniel Dimes and Malik Neighbors, and people were just throwing up almost visibly in the chat. I have been waffling on if you need to go there in here or if you would just almost rather play Neighbors by himself. But I do think it's viable. I haven't done it yet in a
Mhm.
draft though.
Yeah, it's definitely one that like I think people kind of looking ahead and saw that matchup and we're getting excited about it. I mean, like you mentioned here, Jaden Daniels QB4 for us here, but the rest of the Commanders are very very cheap. Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 21. Zach Ertz goes undrafted a lot of the time, as he probably should, but I am interested to see if like Jaden Daniels can end up becoming a little bit of a better passer, because if he just becomes a better passer like this week and he just has a better game than he did last week, uh, this could be a really great game for McLaurin because the Giants secondary just does not stand out to me. And I'm not going to do it this week, Pete, but like my eyes are like firmly attached to Luke McCaffrey. He had pretty solid
Yeah.
usage last week. And if Jaden Daniels, because I know Spags, Spags really grinds the college football stuff. And he's like adamant that Jaden Daniels is a pretty good passer. So I'm waiting for like that good Jaden Daniels air it out game. And this could very well be it. And I mean, you don't even have to really stack Jaden Daniels with how he played week 1. He's got me like really excited. And I really think that the QBs are pretty top heavy this week. I'm not sure how you feel.
Yeah, I definitely think it is. And one thing, I have my video that I'll post a little bit after we're done here on the Deposit Kingdom channel, going through my stuff, and I highlighted Michael Pittman, but I think it's the same concept with Terry McLaurin. And that my thought is, you look at these ADPs for Richardson Daniels getting drafted in every contest. Pittman and McLaurin aren't, because that's just how they didn't score, or that's not how they scored their points last week. It was all via rushing or in those deep shots to Alec Pierce. And it's like, Michael Pittman still had a 38% target share for that team. He's the number one. McLaurin's the number one. And so what if the production goes through these number one wide receivers? The fact that you can get a stack with a top quarterback, like how often are you able to stack the number one wide receiver for a top 6 quarterback at 0 field exposure, which is what you're getting right now. So that's kind of one thing I want to try to exploit this week. Is I'm not like fading Richardson or Daniels at all, but I want to be stacking them more than I think the field is.
Yeah, they're definitely like very, very easy to stack. That's what makes them really attractive targets for me, specifically in the 12-person drafts where you really have to be a lot more mindful about your team building and knowing who is coming around each round. And that's what makes them so fun to take early. Even though I think historically in these 12-person drafts, waiting on QB and hoping you get like the Baker 30-point game in the 6th round is how to play it. But that meta just lines up really, really nicely. Um, for me here. Mahomes going as QB2, but I love it. I'm very much in favor of getting Chiefs up and down my teams this week. I would probably double stack Mahomes. I know we kind of talked about double stacking the the other games here, but this I just have no respect for the Bengals defense. I really think the Bengals are down pretty bad this week, and Mahomes at home. I don't think they forgot about calling Arrowhead Burrowhead, and I could see them going scorched earth. And Rashee Rice, 12
So
targets like minimum, right? I mean,
yeah.
he's gonna go nuts.
So my only difference is because we don't have any of the Chiefs stacking partners that aren't drafted, that it's like you're running into 100%, double stack exposure. I think for
Mhm.
me this week, the Chiefs are going to be skinny stacks, Mahomes, Kelsey, Rashi. Or I think to your point about no respect for the Bengals, I think this is a perfect chance to do, say, what like hit last week with Joe Mixon and Nico. You play the
Yeah.
Pacheco in a pass catcher. Like
Yeah.
you just capture all of the points through two of the Chiefs.
Yeah, and I think a fun way to do that would be like Pacheco and Worthy, because I think if Rice is going off, there's a lot of volume there. It's a lot of pass volume. Mahomes is probably going off as well. Where Worthy, just kind of profiles as that just hyper efficient type of player. And I don't know. I mean, I can't really be too scared of Worthy. I get that he has like that hyper efficiency problem where we can't really project him for a ton of volume. His pick'em yardage is like 40 something in the pick'em lobby, but Worthy at home, man, just is a machine. And like you said, if you're going to find a way to play this a little differently, Pacheco and Worthy, I think can make sense in some smaller field stuff. But in the main BR, I do really like Pacheco though. I think
Yeah.
that's a really fun way to play this. Like you said, like the mixing game from
And
last week.
And I should just say, and we'll make the distinction a little bit more when we hop in the Deposit Kingdom tournament, which is obviously a much smaller contest. Like if you're doing any of the, I don't know, sub 5,000 entry contests, or even looking at like these single entry contests that are 2,200 or whatever, like I love the double stacks in those formats. I'm,
Yes.
I'm talking about the large BR that has 68,000. That's where it's like, I would rather have the Kelsey Alpha game or the Rashi Rice Alpha game. I think it's just, unless they score 40, it's just a little harder to pull off.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. You really need to be particular about how you build over there and think about hitting the nuts and skinny stacking in the main BR would be my advice on that. Lamar Jackson QB1, Pete. I guess we kind of have to have the Mark Andrews likely conversation. Likely being drafted ahead of Mark Andrews right now. Have you paired Lamar with either of them yet? And where are you at on this? Because for me, I'm trying to be level headed about this and think like, how can you not take Mark Andrews on a bounce back
Yeah.
against the Raiders?
Yeah, and the thing that was a little bit of a bummer is I think earlier, well, I don't know, like 2 days ago, yesterday, I don't know. Mark Andrews has moved up, right? Like he was not getting drafted in 100%, and now he's pretty regularly one of the final guys that goes in drafts. So now it's a little closer. To me, before it was like Likely was going in every draft and Andrews wasn't, and it was the classic spot like they'd likely take a shit ton of Andrews. I still think Andrews is very much on the menu. I am almost exclusively stacking him on my Lamar teams. Like if I'm
Yeah.
doing a one-off tight end at the tight end 6-7 bubble, which is obviously where we know the ownership kind of cliff starts to happen, I'm scrolling down to Bowers, to Ingram, or something like
Yes.
that.
Mhm.
But I think that's going to kind of be my rule, because Likely and Andrews fall in that kind of dicey range as tight end 5-6. Completely fine with them with Lamar, but I don't really like them as one-offs.
No, definitely not as one-offs. I think that's pretty thin to get to, but definitely in stacks. But I think I'm gonna have a cool 0% Isaiah Likely this week. And if it turns out that his arrival game, or I mean he's had multiple arrival games, so it could be wrong. But if it turns out week one was not a fluke and they're gonna, give Likely all the targets against the Raiders, then I will take my L. But man, that'd be so rough if it's another Likely just absolute smash. But tight end, it feels really hard to go wrong right now. I mean, Kittle being tight end 4, if we don't get McCaffrey, he profiles obviously as a really great play too. Kelsey tight end 2, I can get with, but like any concerns about like 4 targets here, and if the Bengals
Yeah.
can't really push the pace. I mean, like, what's that target volume going to look like? Like Star Tours in the comments saying can't see Mahomes stacks getting there without a shootout. Like, I think that kind of is true for Kelsey as well. I mean, I'm just a little concerned. That wasn't the start that I wanted to see with Kelsey.
Well, and that's honestly another reason, like, not to keep circling back to the Mahomes double stack, but I would much rather do Worthy with Kelsey or Worthy with Rice, just because Rice is now really cucking Travis Kelsey underneath, like vacuuming up all of those easy
Right.
targets. And I could certainly see the pendulum swing back where it's like a Kelsey game and he gets those targets. But yeah, I think you do have to be a little worried. It's buoyed here by the touchdown expectation, right? Like, just saying, hey, he's still going to be a guy they look for in the red zone. And we ultimately know if you get one of these guys in the optimal, it's going to be because they scored a touchdown. So I think he can survive a little bit of a target squeeze, but it is a tougher sell for me when I'm like, Trey McBride, I feel like I can have my cake and eat it too with targets and touchdown expectation. I can look at Kittle and be like, is Travis Kelsey have like a 25 ball in him in week 2, or in the way George Kittle we know can? So I don't know.
Mhm.
It is a little tougher of a sell to me.
Yeah, for sure. I want to get to the running backs and wide receivers, but for me, the meta right now is like get wide receivers early because I do think that there's a pretty stark tier break after Garrett Wilson goes off. Not that I don't like a lot of these guys late here, but to me, I think that's a very obvious tier break. And two, based on the spreads that we have this week, it just opens up a lot of strong opportunities for these running backs. For example, we have for the Chargers, J.K. Dobbins. He's running back 10 on the slate. Maybe a little rich for some people. For me, I think that that makes total sense against the Carolina Panthers. They are, I think, 6 or 7 point favorites in that matchup. Just makes a lot of sense for me to target him, or only 5 point favorites. They're on the road, so I guess that would make sense. But just a lot of really strong running back plays late that for me it just makes so much more sense to kind of sit and wait. But obviously, I am respecting the ceilings of Brees Hall and Kyron this week. That like I don't want to have none of those guys. But are you kind of seeing similar things to me as far as running back and wide receiver?
For sure. And I think I'm at, I don't know, man. I might be close to like 80 to 90% two running back teams as opposed to
Yeah,
one running back. Are you close to that?
yeah. It's almost been like exclusively two running back teams for me this week.
Yeah. It's been pretty unique cases, mainly if I realize like, oh shit, I don't have a stack, and then it's like I'm going to a third wide receiver. But yeah, and it is a big part because of the CMC, right? Like our teams are coming preloaded with
That's true.
CMC. Maybe I should do a few like CMC one RB teams just to mix it up. But you're
Yeah,
completely right. Like the strength of the scroll down candidates, it's like it's really hard for me to find some of those one-offs that I really like. Because if I am doing a McLaurin or I am doing a Pittman, guys I like, I really want them with the quarterback.
right.
I think there are a couple guys down there. Chris Olave, I think is a really strong late guy who's probably comparable to the strength of the Ramondres and Camaras as far as what you're getting that deep in the draft, but they're harder to come by.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. One of the more polarizing players for me this week that I keep going back and forth on, but I think I want to get more of is Josh Jacobs. Obviously, no, well, we don't think Jordan Love is playing this week against the Colts, but it's at home, and that spread to me is like suspiciously small. It's not like I would think that a Malik Willis team against these Colts would be like 6 point dogs. They're only like 3 point dogs in this matchup. We just saw the Colts get gashed by a very, very strong offense, but Joe Mixon looked spry as ever against this Colts defense. I think that the Packers, given a week to prepare for a Jordan Love-less team, can scheme up some really strong touches for Josh Jacobs, probably center the game plan around Josh Jacobs against this team, scheme up some touches for Jaden Reed. I'm probably not touching the Packers wide receivers, but I really trust this coaching staff to kind of set Malik Willis up for as much success as possible. But I don't know how plan 1A in this is not just give Josh Jacobs a shit ton of touches. And I think people are pretty focused on that first half for Josh Jacobs on national TV looking terrible, but had a really strong second half. And against this Colts defense, I think Josh Jacobs is in for a pretty solid game, and people probably don't want to touch that because of the Malik Willis at quarterback, which I respect.
Yeah, I gave him a hard look. I was having a hard time with it just because of his draft percentage, right? Like he's in that tier right at the end. He's going to be what, 80% or so plus
Mhm.
based on where he normally goes. And so then it's like you go down to a Ramondre that you're getting. And this is where BRs just like mess with you. It's like there are a few spots, but their ADPs indicate that Jacobs is going 80% of the time and Ramondre is going sub 20%. And
Right.
so it's so hard for me to get to the Jacobs side at that, ownership cliff.
Yeah, that makes total sense. It's hard to know because I just think that yes, while he is at the ADP 33, and I probably should just respect that I just can't imagine that a lot of people want to click Josh Jacobs
Yeah.
this week. Is kind of what I'm hoping on. So hopefully we can get like an ADP flip, and I can actually
Yeah.
get confirmation that that's happening. But for
Yeah.
now, it is hard to tell. It looks like the contest went live, by the way.
Ooh, all right. Should we hop in our first one here?
Yes, there it is.
For those of you guys who missed it last week, we do have the weekly Deposit Kingdom League. The Deposit Kingdom is a reference to the Discord and my other YouTube channel over there. It will drop every Friday at 3 p.m. I believe we got the same setup as last week, Nez, $10 3 max contest. What can you check the iTab? I think we were 1,100 entrants here, 1,000 to first. I'll recap the winning teams on the portfolio review show on my channel on Mondays. But yeah, man, excited to run this back again this week. And I would say make sure you get your entries in by tomorrow mid-morning would just be my back of the napkin fill rate math.
Yeah, this is gonna feel pretty fast. I know it's only 3 entries, so that kind of does like slow it down a little bit, but I would definitely not like wait to get into this one. These smaller tournaments fill much faster than everything else, so I would definitely get in ASAP for sure.
Yeah, did I see? Did they have it at the top of the carousel?
It is
Uh,
you are first tile,
Push
so
it. Hope,
yeah,
Newey, push it to the end. Hide it.
yeah. Please let we
Let
gotta.
let's let some people get in it.
We don't we love the exposure, but guys,
Yeah.
we need to save these entries for everybody else.
So yeah, let's use this draft to talk a little bit more about some of the smaller field strategy because this is a beautiful contest to double stack. Although I will say, last week I see my guy GA in here saying Pete just play the best plays. The person, or make your pick here, and then I'll recap
Yeah,
last week.
I think Brees Hall is kind of hard to pass up here, even though I really like
Yeah,
going wide receiver first pick, just because I don't have like a clear cut wide receiver that I really like after Brees
yeah,
Hall, even though I do like that entire range.
yes. I'm good with Brees there. I was gonna say the team that won last week was just it did have the Nico and Joe Mixon correlation, but otherwise it was just the best plays. I think it was Allen, Kamara, Evans, and Kyle Pitts. Just pick the best plays. So I think the two ways you can get there in these smaller, you do just pick the best plays. You don't have to worry about dupes as much. Or you correlate. You get that quarterback, the double stack. You hit the one game that does better, and you don't have to be perfect in every slot.
Yeah, that's definitely my preference here. I was really into just like jamming JMO and thinking that the usage was real. But now that he has that injury tag, I am like a little concerned here. I would go wide
Yeah.
receiver, I think, or tight end. We could probably wait on tight end here. What do you think about Evans this week? You into it?
Yeah. I like Evans. I feel like maybe we could even set up like an Evans Godwin double stack or something on this one.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that the spread in that game is 7 points. I love the Lions. I think the Lions are very good. I think the Bucks can go blow for blow with them though. I mean, both of these defenses just seem like very much like pass funnels to me. And man, Baker looked good. We got Jalen McMillan running the most routes on the team last week. I mean, they clearly trust him. He had that nice touchdown. I think the Bucks are going to be able to make this a pretty tight game.
Yeah. I mean, I think they were competitive with them in that game last year. And what was that? The divisional round.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I have high hopes for this game. And I do think this is one. Yeah. Let's get our alpha tight end here, McBride.
Yeah. I'm McBride here until Marvin Harrison establishes himself. McBride had 9 targets last week, even though like they all the tight ends disappointed. I just don't know, man. I'm gonna have so much McBride this week. This matchup is perfect for him against the Rams. This game should shoot out, and I think McBride has obviously that ceiling that you have to have on this
Yeah.
slate.
I mean, last week, 89% of the routes, all of this compliments of Fantasy Life and the utilization report. Some of the stuff is still publicly available, Fantasy Life Plus, to get access to all of it. But 26% targets per route run for Trey McBride, 30% of the total targets. Decent ADOT. It wasn't all just underneath 8.4, 39% of the air yards. So like the profile, how that thing shook out last week was awesome. And he was getting double teamed a ton as well. So the
Yeah,
McGronk games are coming, Nez.
they are, and I'll be here front and center for them. James Conner goes, which is early for James Conner, which like I say that in an upset tone because I love James Conner this week, but we'll save that last running back position here. I'm gonna just throw Kyler and A Rich in the queue there, but I would probably prefer a wide receiver here. And we did kind of talk about the Baker doubles, so I'm cool with that
Yeah,
as
or
well.
you could go grab another running back now and do like Pacheco or something if you want, knowing that Godwin should be there. Either
Yeah,
way.
we'll go
Nice.
Pacheco. I have enough CMC. We'll save that for the larger contests.
This is also another one too. Like it is kind of fun. I don't mind doing in those first 3 to 4 rounds a little value hounding in these smaller ones, just being like, okay, Pacheco fell, maybe being a little bit rare paired with Brees and Evans in this contest.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if your contests here will have similar dynamics on Redacted, where like the field just drafts so much differently, and like ADP, like they almost need its own ADP because people are just so
Do
different
you know
here.
what we could do? We
What?
could do the DFS small field, the Thunderdome thing where we stack up Godwin, but with the elite quarterback. Like we could do, I guess Murray probably makes the most sense. I was gonna say you could do the Richardson and then double him
Yeah,
without Baker. I
I
like Murray though.
yeah. Let's go Kyler, but I'm with you, Pete. Like I love Anthony Richardson. I mean, how can you not, right? I mean, 28 points on 9 completions, like give me a break. And
Yeah,
very much into him against these Packers, even though this game could be a little slower with Malik Willis at quarterback. I just think Anthony Richardson, no matter what, damn near. The fact that he just goes like in the 6th round, somebody in the 6th round is going to get Anthony Richardson is just kind of bonkers to me. I mean, he doesn't need to
I
do
agree.
that much better to,
These drafts absolutely fly. Do you want to do or let's go see the other one-off wide receivers?
Yeah. So we have Godwin, JMO, Malik, Terry,
We could double. What
MHJ.
if let's do Marv? Should we
All
double
right.
up Kyler?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
let's
think,
double up in this one.
okay. Sorry. Let me get there. Boom. Yeah. The Marv games are coming, but like, man, the GPS miles per hour on him, I can't lie.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
And this is the thing. I haven't clicked a ton of Marv, but this is the exact contest where I kind of want to adjust my strategy a little bit. I would never double Kyler in the main battle royales, but in this one,
No.
like if we couldn't get what 40 combined points from those two, and you're fine if it's like a 30-10 kind of thing or a 25-15. Like I think you'll probably be happy about that in this size contest.
Yeah. I mean, like getting maybe this is a little rich, but like 60 from that trio, you're cooking for
Yeah.
certain, right? Like almost certainly you are sitting pretty. Let's see here. We got time for one more. Do you want to rip another?
Yeah. Let's do it here. You want me to do one on mine?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
And then we
Split
can
the baby here.
we can split it. Split the baby. Solomon style.
I've been saying that way too much because I have Dolphins running backs on the brain where I had a ton of Mostert in the primetime Palooza. And I was thinking about if Achan was sitting, having to decide Jalen Wright or Jeff Wilson Jr. And it didn't matter. The answer was neither. You lost because of that. But did you end up getting any primetime Paloozas in at all?
I did. I had like I got like 5 or 6 in. I cashed a couple of them. I saw Alejandro at the top with a couple teams.
Nice.
I saw you had a top 10 team with Durham Smythe. If you want a selling point on playing
Oh my
Primetime
God.
Palooza.
Yeah, the way that these tight ends are playing right now, like it just like does not matter who you have at tight end. Like Jonnu Smith might be the tight end one on this finishing slate on Sunday night. I do have some nice teams left. I went pretty heavy on the pass catchers for Texans and Bears. It's mostly like on the Bears side of things, and we just got Keenan Allen game time decision and surprisingly Roma Dunze game time decision. I thought we were going to get him ruled out. So I got a little bit of a sweat over there, but it's way too early to tell. Those things just swing so massively, but huge fan of the primetime Paloozas right now.
Yeah, once my schedule kind of settles in a little bit, I'm excited to get in those streets. But I've been devoting all of my energy to the main slate so far.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
All right, so Nez will cook up a different team here from the 1-6, and lots of different stuff you can do here. What would you say is like your cutoff for like for me this week? It's
Mhm.
like after I have some ranks in here too. After like Debo Samuel, I feel like it's kind of the Wild West where I'm happy to get any other combo of before that.
Definitely, definitely. So I think Kyron and Debo. Yes, like this
Yeah,
is like what
yeah,
I've been doing. It's like either
yeah,
Kyron or Debo, and I've been mixing in Kyron and Rice. But I think Debo is I mean, with no CMC, I mean, 8 carries on top of the passing usage as well. I don't know what to think about this Vikings defense though. I feel like I underrate them all the time. And we might be underrating them right now. They're just a very well coached team, but it's the 49ers, and like I'm not going to get scared off of my CMC list 49ers if that's the play because of the Vikings in a dome, right? Like that's just
yeah.
not the game to get scared.
And I will say, I know talking about double stacks a lot, and I've had to like force myself not to do it in the big BRs, but I really want to get some Brock Purdy double stacks in the small stuff.
I agree. I think Brock Purdy does have those hyper efficient games in him, and if no CMC, then you can easily pair up some touchdowns there. You can do that like any which way, right? You can do that with Kittle, IU, Kittle, Debo. Pick your poison really, and I think that those match up really well. And even on the Viking side, man, like the Niners defense is definitely good, but I think that the Vikings can hold their own in that game. So I really like Jefferson, obviously, but Aaron Jones as like kind of a sneaky scroll down. I think he's gonna have some really solid usage for these 6-person drafts.
All right, we're about to pick here. Have you done? I always don't mind it. Oh, Kelsey goes. Yeah, that's the bully there
That would have been fun.
to do the Kelsey Mahomes tap there. So we can sit on Brock if we want. We could like set up like a Kittle thing. We could get our second running back here. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I do really like let's do Kittle. Actually, I think we should set up a Brock double here. I
I
like the
agree.
idea of double stacking, and Brock will be pretty low owned here. I do
What do you
like
think?
James Conner. Go ahead. That's good.
Connor in the same game as Kyron. Any issues there? I don't know
See,
if I
like,
do.
I don't have issues there. Like my
Yeah.
DFS brain tells me 2 running backs in the same game are bad, but this game should shoot out. And James Conner's usage was terrific. I'd
Yeah.
like to see him like in a trailing game script to see get him some more usage in the passing game as well. I mean, Amari DeMarcado was the RB2 in snap share there. It's the James Conner show in Arizona. I do think Trey Benson will have his games, but it's gonna be with a James Conner injury, and until that happens, it's James Conner all the way.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like the only times I would worry about it, like I don't want to do it with like a Derrick Henry Pacheco type combo where I'm like, oh, one of these guys could get scripted out if they just stop throwing. Where it's like Kyron and Connor are not coming off the field in any game script.
No, no, definitely not. The Ravens are like an interesting one for me. I think we're in line for a huge Derrick Henry game. But when it comes to taking Lamar, I do kind of worry that we might not get the Lamar ceiling game at QB1 against these Raiders. Like I just don't think they can do enough on the offensive side of the ball to make the Ravens have to work.
Yeah.
Just really unimaginative, and the Ravens defense is really good. I just don't see how this isn't just a Derrick Henry ground and pound game. Yeah, Brock Purdy is our QB here. A triple is a little much. I would
A
maybe
little
triple
much.
into bomb where
Yeah.
it's half the field here. Olave is an interesting one where okay, let's actually see the Saints play a real football game.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper feels really solid as well. I mean, nobody's going to draft Amari Cooper in 6-person drafts, and he's the buy low king. I think he's like the poster boy a
Yeah.
buy low, really solid usage in the air, a lot of air yards. Um, I mean, these options are just so plentiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
I,
how you have it. What do you think here?
I think either Olave or Neighbors, you pick.
Let's go Olave.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do my thought being like Olave gives us another guy who's not getting drafted in all of these, whereas Neighbors is, because we already have kind of I think what will be unique with not a ton of Brock in here, but now we get two unique pieces, Brock and Olave. We have a double stack and then just jamming two high usage running backs. This is like the exact kind of team I like building in these
Oh my
small ones.
gosh. These 6-person drafts are just so loaded. Last week, kind of a low scoring slate, like the winner being 120, 130 is definitely, I think, going to be the lowest score that we see all season. I don't know how this week's winner isn't putting up 140 at least. All these teams just seem so sick. Like there's just so many game
Yeah.
environments that I want to attack that I kind of find myself with a really, like, I say that, and yes, there are strong scroll down options. My player pool thus far, though, is like really condensed.
Yeah.
With around these game environments that I'm just like obsessed with. And I do need to kind of mix up like some of these alpha plays and less attractive game environments. But man, oh man, it's really hard to get away from some of these game environments for me.
For sure. And I will say, make sure if you guys are going through the lobby, that you are taking advantage of these smaller ones. We also have the mini Royale this week, 20K to first. It's a $10 instead of a $5. And as you're kind of going through these as well, the further you get down here, victory formation, single entry, only 564 entries. Like, take advantage of these. If you're just only blasting off in battle royale, it's going to be hard to realize your edge, to have a nice ROI. But if you're in these smaller contests, so I like saving a little bit of these for later in the weekend, is why I haven't entered these yet. But I will be maxing all of these single entry, 3 entry, 5 entries.
Totally agree. This is where I live. I, of course, play the main BR because it's too much fun not to. Like, that's just the white whale. I want to take down that one. But these small field tournaments are my absolute jam because you can think correlation brain, and that's really what I like to do. Is okay, what team do I think could just crush this week, and really attack a game or a team in that regard, and you can really realize your edge, like you said, in these smaller field tournaments, much easier.
You want to both of us hop in a dog bowl and talk through some
Yeah.
12 person this week?
Yeah,
All
let's
right,
do it.
let's
That'll
do
be a
it.
lot easier for tax purposes if we both end up hitting
Yeah.
this one. All right, I'm trying. It's fetching my draft. I'm hoping I can get in.
Did you get in?
Yeah, 7, 8.
Okay.
Nope, overflow.
You got overflow. Holy cow, we just overflowed the dog
That's
bowl. My bad.
crazy. That's
You know
great.
what we
No,
can
this is.
do?
What do you want to do?
No, put in yours. Get yours pulled up, and we'll toggle back and forth because we'll have time between these two
Okay,
drafts.
shit. That my dog bowl was like going from 8 to 4 to 8. All right, 3 more for mine here. Let me share that tab. We
Wow,
can go back and forth. The dog bowl liquidity, Pete, is like
it's good.
insanely impressive.
Yeah.
Insanely. Even like throughout the week. I enter a dog bowl, it's almost always like 3 left to draft, and it starts right away. These are my jam. I love 12-person drafts, and I
I,
love like good competition. And man, these drafts are always just like a Deposit Kingdom like meetup every time.
yeah, and people were trying to blow up my spot last night. I was just trying to get in a few dog bowls during the ship cast here, and everyone's
Oh my
snitching on
god,
me in the chat. Just let me draft in peace, guys. Don't tell my co-hosts that I'm fucking drafting on the side.
it's a long show, guys. Come on. I mean,
Jeez.
let the guy draft.
So I did get the influencer 101. I mean, this, I will say, for these 12-person drafts, and I've done 5 dog bowls. I'm sure you have way more 12 persons under your belt than me, but like, just being on this side of the board and getting one of Cup and Lamb just feels very nice this week.
This is I mean, if you don't get one of these drafts, I think you need to kind of ask yourself how are you beating the cup and CD teams. Maybe you think that the running backs have the edge. I will say for a while, maybe hopefully it stands. The back end, like where I'm at, Debo's been falling. So that has been like my saving grace where, okay, like I get Debo, he has the ability to kind of match these guys in his ceiling scenario, but Cooper Cup, man, and Lamb just are so far and away the best projected players. I mean, for me, after them, like JJ kind of comes close, but definitely prefer Lamb. And honestly, kind of crazy right now. I think Debo is close to usurping Cup by ceiling, at least the way that I
Really?
kind of right now. I
Really?
mean, they love Debo. And by they, I mean, obviously the good folks over at Establish the Run.
No, you're right. 31.6 to 30.2. Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Although what do you know what's funny though? Then you see the sim rate, the optimal rate though still 21.6% Cup, 13.3% Debo.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is it? Yeah, I assume those have been rerun post the I don't know, maybe the optimal rates don't get rerun for every single rankings update. That
Mhm.
might be the difference because it seems weird that the higher ceiling guy wouldn't have a higher optimal rate, especially if he's cheaper.
Yeah, because I don't think that they would take in ADP into account there, like where they're like building lineups based on ADP, and okay, Cup just gets better pairings based on ADP. That could very well be it, but very
Yeah.
very interesting.
Well, and that's why I think like the turn here, I had one dog bowl last night where I was at the 12 and man, I was just like in a fucking blender with it. I think I ended up taking like Gibbs and Lamar and I was just like, I hate this.
Yeah, Gibbs is pretty interesting because he's I don't know how would you put this not a non-spicy to score a touchdown in the pick'em lobby, sub 1x to score a touchdown, and the total for them is in the 50s. So Gibbs definitely looks like somebody that like, hey, if I didn't get Cup or Lamb, then I'm jamming in Jahmyr Gibbs and hoping that he's a separator at the running back position. I'm on the clock over on my
Oh
end.
yeah, let me go over.
Thanks. I'm at the 11 hole here. I'm gonna go Mike Evans.
Yeah.
If they really are 7-point dogs, but have the ability to match, I think Evans is definitely a key piece for these back end drafters here. Debo going 7, I think, is just the norm now. Oh wow, we see a Mahomes Rice by Quadzilla here. And then
Okay.
like next, and then look at the drop off the wide
He
receiver
just
is just
falls off.
crazy, man. I mean, these
Yeah.
are good players, but like the drop off is nuts. Um, I think this is going to be this is McBride for me. Like I'm just
Yeah.
not even
Get the tight end because
yeah, because sometimes you can get Kyler Murray to fall back here too, because nobody is going to really take him unstacked.
yeah. Yeah. And we got some interesting stuff here. So the drafter from the 11 went Lamar Jordan Mason.
Whoa,
There, and then we see a Mahomes Rashi get it in a different way.
that's
Rashi
funny.
early and then come back and get Mahomes, then the Debo, McBride, Kyron, Travis Kelsey team.
So right now, you obviously don't have like a lean on like the CMC stuff, other than just until we get the news, or because
My
it seems
my like my what I actually think is happening that I just separate when I play these is I don't think there's any chance he's playing. And I think this is all a save face thing from the Niners to not get fined. And they're like, no, yeah, like CMC's definitely practicing. And
yeah,
it's just like, no, he's out this week.
yeah. I think the limited
All
practice
right.
could be like just a way of like rehabbing him, just kind of
Yeah.
getting him some soft reps to get him in. Because John Lynch came out and made some comments too. That was basically like, hey, it's a long season, and
Yes.
basically kind of said what we all know. But I
Yes.
can't help it but to think about the scenarios where where CMC plays.
Yeah. I was gonna take Connor as one of mine, get that Connor Cooper Cup.
Oof.
I think I'm gonna pass just because in the dog bowl, when I have outs to late quarterbacks, I kind of like taking advantage of it. So I'm gonna give myself 3 outs to late quarterbacks,
Oh, that's
take
beautiful.
Kittle, and then take Godwin, and then I don't think I'll get shut out there.
Yeah, that's a really nice start. I mean, the running backs that you get late are just really really solid. Like I said, Aaron Jones will probably be there for you at the 4-5 turn if you're not scared of that. I know I'm really into that. That's one of my favorite scroll downs this week is Aaron Jones, and in that matchup where I think he's going to get a lot of use in the passing game as well, which obviously would be huge for him.
Let me give you a fun question here. What do you think? Guess, and maybe you've looked, and this isn't fun, but the ETR projection for Mike Evans and the ETR projection for Chris Godwin. What do you
I
think they
don't.
are?
Yeah, no, I actually don't know this. I kind of just have these guys ordered in my own Nez way. But is this median projection for half point?
Yeah, and we could also do ceiling. It's going to be kind of the same
Let me
takeaway,
do
but yeah,
median. I've got
yeah,
good
do
median
median.
brain.
Yeah, yeah.
13 for Evans, 11.6 for Godwin.
12.8 for both.
For
Exact
both?
same. Exact same
Really?
projection. Yeah.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. But they
Interesting.
have in their positional rank, they have Evans as the wide receiver 9 and Godwin as the wide receiver 10.
And Evans has the higher ceiling, I would imagine, right?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
24 point, but barely 24.6 to 24.3. But I just thought that was interesting. I've noticed both weeks they've been very high on Godwin. And I wonder if this is like some of the slot stuff like trickling over into their projections. Just how we were thinking about Godwin last year versus Evans versus this year is pretty different.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what they have them for like full point PPR. If I mean, obviously, I guess they'd probably give the lean to Godwin. I would imagine.
Yeah.
Just from the slot usage, but I don't think that that's nothing. I think that people were definitely smart for like giving Godwin a bigger bump because of that, knowing
Yeah.
McMillan was going to be on the outside. That's definitely a big deal. Um, yeah, I'm so excited for this game. I would be really shocked if that game disappoints. Personally, I'm
Yeah.
not really sure like how it could unless like Goff is turning the ball over or Baker's turning the ball over, but both these offenses seem absolutely on their game. What I've been doing, Pete, in my projections is like taking this. It's so stupid, but it works for me. Is I take the ceiling of half point
Yeah.
PPR, I then take it down by 20%, and then I remove the decimals, and so it like makes everybody
You're
so
creating
flat.
Nez's median projections.
Yeah, the Nez median, where like I have a tier.
The Nez median.
There's like 10 guys that project for 18 points, but it kind of helps. Like J.K. Dobbins and Josh Jacobs, they're in the same tier for me, and it helps kind of like it kind of adds ambiguity. The real it adds randomness to it
Uh,
that like it wouldn't normally have.
oh, you get your stack here at a slight discount.
There we go. Well, I don't have to do it yet, but yeah, I'm absolutely doing it.
Oh, that's
Um,
true.
let's see here. I do really like JMO. I'm doing it, Pete. Nine targets for Jamison Williams. I mean, come on. It would be different if he had, and I'm not saying Xavier Worthy isn't real, but if he had a Xavier Worthy game where he had the end around and one long deep shot, it's like, all right, how are they using JMO? But like JMO is a real freaking factor on this Lions team. And I mean, I don't want to speak hyperbolically. That is unbelievably game changing for the Lions. If Jameson Williams is an actual contributing wide receiver with that speed, good luck defending these Detroit
Yeah.
Lions. They're going to beat you on the ground. They're going to beat you deep. They're going to beat you underneath. And JMO's actually running underneath routes as well. It's insane the arc of Jameson Williams. And like I've been rooting for this guy forever. And to see that week one, I don't know how you can't like be a little bit of a believer.
I'm with you, and I also think you have a little bit extra of a safety net this week. So, like, let's say that like the full blown breakout doesn't happen, he could still just get there in this game environment.
Right.
Whereas, and JM brought up the point. He's like, would it shock anyone if Jameson Williams costs like 7,100, on redacted in like 5 or 6 weeks because that breakout is real, what we saw. And so the same thing, it's like you might not be able to get JMO at pick 35 in dog bowls the rest of the year.
Right. And I think people are also skeptical of Goff as a deep ball thrower. But like I really liken this to when Goff was like on the Rams and he just had that amazing setup with like Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and he was able to hit deep balls just because like scheme wise, like teams just couldn't defend everything on that Rams team. And James, like, man, I'm so into that usage. Amon-Ra's going to have his games. I'm not like naive in thinking that he's going to outscore Amon-Ra all season, but man, that was so promising, especially when you couple that with the way Dan Campbell was talking about him in the preseason all camp long was just like, he looks different. He's focused. He's going to be big for us. It's here.
Yes. I'm not good. So Purdy got taken. So that just leaves me with Stafford and Baker. So I'm not gonna mess around on losing Baker. The question here, I definitely want to get a running back. Does not look like Kenneth Walker is gonna play.
Yeah, this is a strange one with Ken Walker.
Yeah, it is. So Nez, I want to get your thoughts because we haven't mentioned him. He's gonna make an appearance in my video.
Yeah.
But Jerome Ford has been one of my favorite scroll down clicks. Obviously, he goes in all of the dog bowl drafts, but I was getting him in the 6th round of a couple of the drafts last night. His usage was insane. Goal
Yes.
line roll, didn't have that last year. 7 targets. Even if you factor in a negative game script for him this week, like I'm fine with that if they're down on the road in Jacksonville and he's getting 7 targets again. This feels like one of those spots where I just like want to gobble up the volume here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like very much into the spot. 3-point dogs at home or on the road to Jacksonville. I like it, and the role is
Give me the bear
unquestionably
case. I need
strong.
it.
The bear case is I don't know how good this Jacksonville Jaguars defense is, and I think that they might be decent, and if they are decent, and we just saw them kind of bottle up on the ground, Mostert and Achane, um, against the Dolphins. Like they did not have really solid games at all. And if the Browns offense is just bad because Deshaun Watson sucks, we could be like, yeah, like in our usage leagues, like we shipped with Jerome Ford, but did he ever find his way into the end zone because they just couldn't get to the end zone because Deshaun Watson was so bad. They lost a weapon in Njoku this week. It's going to be Akins, I believe, at tight end there. There's also the chance that Watson has a good game, and no one is just like counting on it because we haven't seen him have a good game yet. I'll be honest. I get the Jerome Ford case. I just haven't really been doing it, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I could be missing out on the party, but I've got some other plays back here that I'm really interested in.
Yeah, it's there are some other good plays around him. I mean, it's like so fantasy life, Dwayne has a new utilization score, and just the Jerome Ford's utilization score was right next to Bijan and Brees Hall in week 1. And could that be Fugazi? Could things change in different scripts? Yada yada. Sure, but man, I'm willing to find out at these prices.
7 targets for Jerome Ford. Definitely no joke. I mean,
Yeah.
9.2 utilization score. I think 10 is the best.
Yeah.
So that's that's a really cool feature there. I mean, I've been talking about that all week because I've just been living in the utilization report, looking at all these players and their usage. Yeah, he definitely stands out. No doubt.
All right, talk through. You just took Najee. Actually, there's nothing you need to say. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Maybe talk about this next pick.
Yeah, the next pick I think I'm a little more up in the air on because ETN, I am a little spooked, right? He had less carries last week than Tank Bigsby, and I'm not gonna like ignore the fact that I looked and watched these guys run, and I thought Tank Bigsby looked good, and maybe
He
Tank
did.
Bigsby was getting softer looks on defense. I think that the coaching staff is probably seeing what I saw and think, oh wow, like we actually have like a nice like 1-2 punch. And the whole ETN's whole appeal, yeah, he's a good player. His whole appeal was that he had the backfield to himself. That looks like it's not the case anymore. Aaron Jones, I think in this game script against the Niners, I think he's the goal line back if they get to the goal line, and I think he's going to get some looks in the passing game as well. So I'm going Aaron Jones here, but ETN is definitely an interesting pick here, especially when you consider the fact that he did have a fumble out of the end zone as well, which could have put him at 16, and maybe we'd have a different tune. But I'm more into Aaron Jones here, and yeah, I took Najee, haha, but I mean that's Arthur Smith's guy right now, and maybe they're resting. They rested Jaylen Warren a little bit because he's coming off of the hamstring, but I don't really have a ton of respect for the run defense of the Broncos. I'm worried about George Pickens getting the Surtain treatment. So for me, that leads me to liking Najee on the ground. And I think Pat Freiermuth is a really solid pick as well because their linebackers are pretty weak for Denver. And he's the number 2 target. Although we are getting Roman Wilson's debut at the wide receiver too. So for the managed league folks out there, and if you're in deep leagues like on FFPC or whatever, I think that keep a close eye on Roman Wilson because it's not a lot of competition ahead of him. Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson ahead of him. They did not impress at all. Roman Wilson, I believe, 2nd round pick. I mean, they spent good draft capital on him. I'm really excited for the Roman Wilson debut.
All right. Yeah, some of my early best ball bags are excited for the Roman Wilson
Yeah,
debut
I have
as well.
140 Roman Wilsons too. Not proud of it.
All right, Nez, I want to pick your brain for this last pick. I don't have any slam dunks. I was going to take Travis Etienne if he fell. One interesting one is I think Jaden Reed, just because I think he's a baller and could get
Yes.
there even with Malik Willis. But I want to bring up a guy who hasn't been brought up at all, and he'll start getting drafted. But because this contest is already, what are we, 60% full, his ownership's going to be low. What are your thoughts on Sharbs
I was just gonna
with,
say that.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
the total sucks.
the total the
38 and a
total
half.
the total is terrible. But if Ken Walker doesn't play, it's all Zach Charbonnet, 100%. I think it's a swing worth taking in these dog bowls. You got to finish top 3, and the ownership on Sharbs is going to be absolutely minimal. I mean, Ken Walker didn't even go there. The one thing that I do worry is like Ken Walker. I worry that he's the type of guy that could just like not practice and play.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. The abdominal thing definitely scares me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
get full.
yeah,
Give me
I could
full
I
work
could
on
have done
Sharbs.
I could have done Walker and subbed in Sharp there. But again, I'm in spots. Again, this is where it gets dicey, guys, because I have CMC on a couple of these teams, and then I'm gonna be setting up. So I don't know. So then I don't want I don't know. That's why the individual
Well,
swap stuff gets
there
tricky.
right, and there's not dog bowl ranks versus main BR ranks. Your ranks are your ranks. You're swapping
Yes.
universally across all of your contests. So, and other players could end up being ruled out in that draft, and then maybe Ken Walker's also ruled out, and you don't even get the Ken Walker or the Sharps swap
Yeah.
because of that. So, definitely got to think about that. It's tough. It's tricky, but I don't blame you for that. I think there's a good chance Sharbs is suiting up and getting like 90% of the work, which would be insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, too. Like, one of the things, as I was trying to adjust to 12-person draft strategy last year with the dog bowls, was one of the simplest things is I think the temptation is to get a little too cute in the last round. Here's a really good example. I almost took Jalen McMillan. I was thinking about it. I was like, I'll
I
just
know
double
you. I
stack.
was waiting.
Big. I was thinking about it. And then I'm just like, am I going to take Jalen McMillions and hope that one of his 4 targets turns into like a touchdown and it's deep? Or am I going to take the guy who's going to touch the ball 20 times?
Yeah,
Like, you
come
just
on.
got to take the guy that's going to touch the ball 20 times.
Yeah, ceiling shots.
Um, all right. We're going to move on to the final portion of the show, the pick'em portion of the show. I think that the 3 kind of themes that we like to do for entries, Nez, we do like the best plays. So it's just, from the gut, who are the guys we like? Let's go and make some plays on them. Then we'll do kind of a game that we like, build one out around a story of how we think a game could unfold. And then in honor of our departed co-host, John Warner, we will spice it up. We'll do an allspice entry as well.
Yeah.
Let's start with the best plays. Who's a guy that you just feel deep in your gut right now?
So I really like obviously like these high total games, but I'd literally like to look at Malik Neighbors and see what he projects in the lobbies against this Commanders defense.
Yeah.
Dayball just said he's going to play. We have 2 different ways to play this, in my opinion. Well, 3. I don't know if fantasy points are up. No, they're not yet. So I think 5.5 receptions is an interesting way to play it, or the receiving yards as well. I would probably lean receptions just because of the cast around them. I mean, Wandale had his like
11
sick
targets.
game. Yeah, insane. But like I think Neighbors is going to get absolute work here, and I just have no like Danny Dimes is a nightmare, but against the Commanders, certainly he can get Malik the ball 6 times. But if you want to
Yeah.
go yards, we can go yards.
You know what? I think my default would have been to yards, but it's so close. And then I see that 1.07. Just a
Yeah, they're
little
daring
just
you.
tip. Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. The plus EV player in me wants to do the higher multiplier.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Another guy that who have we been taking a lot this? I mean, we were talking about our guy McBride, right? Like
Yeah, we gotta check out McGronk. What's he got going on?
so we got a 1.5 Spicer on the TD, 5 receptions, 50.5 receiving yards. He had 5 receptions for 30 yards last week. this feels fine. We don't have to go to him here. I'm trying to think of another guy. Let me look at the let's look in that Detroit game. Let's check out Godwin.
Yeah, let's just look.
61.5. So that's up there. I feel like I'd probably go receptions on Godwin if I did that. He had 8 last week.
Yeah, I really like the receptions here for Chris Godwin.
5.5 receptions for Godwin, 5.5 for Neighbors. Give me a name. Give me another guy you've been clicking a lot.
Let's check out Amon-Ra, see what they're doing for him. I know you got the discount for him being in the champion state, but I am curious to see what we've got. Okay, so he's at 7 even. That's pretty dang. Yeah, I just wanted to take a peek. I knew he was going to be priced up because of this.
Who are we kidding? Let's look at Debo.
Yeah, come on. Do they probably just have touchdowns? Oh, we actually have receiving yards and touchdowns on him.
Yeah, but no, just even money on a touchdown for Debo here.
What about Rashee Rice?
Yeah. Should we get the we could do an all receptions one again? 6.5 receptions, 1.12
with the spice.
Yeah, he had 7 last week on 9 targets.
I saw Worthy has some pretty interesting numbers too. If we want to just like be worthy boys and just a believer.
Oh
in
wow,
his ability.
43.5. That's too low, right?
That's what I think. Like,
yeah,
certainly they're going to involve him a little bit more, and a little bit more involvement for Worthy means what? Like, I mean, I like the receiving yards. I will say, and I normally don't play these, the highest reception and the touchdown, but the highest reception, the longest reception being 20.5, I would definitely go higher, but it's not one that I like to play.
Well, all I would say is if you're going to do that, if this guy's going for more than 20 yards, he's taking it to the fucking house. At that point, you just take the 1.5x.
So you want to
let's save Worthy. Let's save Worthy for the spice bomb. Like this one, we got to put in there.
Okay. What about Pacheco? Just to see what they like or what they're thinking for him.
Let's see. So we don't have any fantasy points up yet for these. 15.5 rushing attempts.
I was going to say
last week.
I do kind of like that. Let me look real quick here. Could you check out J.K. Dobbins against this Carolina Panthers defense? I think we might get some nice opportunities here.
55.5 rushing yards.
I like the rushing yards.
Yeah, what did he have? I mean, he can get 135 on 10 last week. All right. Look at this theme, dude. 5.5 receptions, 5.5 receptions, 55.5 rushing yards.
Holy shit, Pete! If this wasn't your money, I'd be like, this is a 555 entry. But
well, it's about to be your money when you tail. Okay, we got a Kamara tout here. Let's see this.
Oh, you don't. Yeah, I love the PPR scam stuff.
So we have 4.5 receptions, and what's his total receiving? Do we not have her? 29.5 receiving yards. Last week he was 5 for 27.
Yeah, the most positive game script of all time.
Down to Dallas.
I really like Alvin Kamara on the whole this season. What I'm worried about is like this. I mean, you could not have larger whiplash in a matchup than going from the Carolina Panthers to the Dallas Cowboys. So I think the Dallas Cowboys might have a really nasty front. I kind of want to wait and see on Kamara, but like Star Tours, I really love the suggestion, and I think Kamara's role is safe. But I like these 3 for us for our core plays. But if you want to add 5, we can.
Speaking of a PPR scam, I wanted to see what McLaughlin. So they're not even hanging receptions.
No, for
McLaughlin.
Yeah, they're scared.
I'm trying to look at just a couple of my other guys that I've drafted a ton. I do want to look at the Ford, just because I mentioned him.
Yeah.
Ford, 3.5 receptions, 18.5 receiving yards. Yeah, nothing that.
What would be your what would be your preference here? I would think receptions off the jump.
I would go the receiving angle. Yeah, either 18.5 receiving yards or the 1.8x on the receptions.
Yeah. Can we just, for shits and giggles, check out Cooper Kupp?
Yeah, of course.
just to see what is it like 99 yards, only 86.5 receiving
yards. Dude, 8 receptions. He had 14. I say we take the over on the reception. Dude, he's going to get 12 to 13 targets.
And I like the even ones because you get the ability to maybe like get a push on that. Dude, against this Cardinals defense, are we joking? Come on.
Let's round this out with
Yeah.
one of the quarterbacks, either Dimes, Baker, or Stafford.
I prefer Baker.
Okay, let's check out Baker in this
He has some
game.
pretty decent numbers.
So what did he throw last week? He threw 289 yards last week, but it was 4 tutties.
In a very, very comfortable game script.
I
Now
wonder
they're
about
7-point dogs.
23 completions, 35 and a half passing attempts, and he had 30 last week. So they are accounting for them to be dogs. Anything stand out to you here?
Just like the passing yards or the passing attempts. I
Yeah.
think, because like he has the checkdowns to Rachaad White. We haven't really talked about Rachaad White, but like really like him in that game too.
Yes. I like this one here.
Me too.
All right, we could still build out a game one, but we're gonna call this the best plays entry here.
Yes.
This, at least with my champions, is 17.4, so 25 set to pay out 438.50. Nez, I will put this in the private chat for
Thank you, sir.
here. I'll put this in the chat.
I'm looking at Rachaad White right now for 23.5 receiving yards, 3.5 receptions. Yeah, so on, you can't do it on desktop, but on the app, you have the ability to adjust these and like spice them up. I am spicing the shit out of the receptions, Pete, for Rachaad White. He had 6 receptions in a positive game script against the Commanders. If they're 7-point dogs against the Lions, he's catching over 5.5, higher than 5.5 receptions, and you get 2.7x on that. So that's my.
Well, how about this? I'll build the part of it on stream, and then you build it on your phone, and then you share it, because I assume then it'll carry over.
I guess we'll find out.
All right, let's try it. So what I'm going to do, Nez, because we said we wanted to build out a game one. What if we leave this Baker and Godwin in here? We add White, and then we find a couple Lions.
Okay, let's do.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Did you say it's receptions that you're going to be sliding?
Yeah, to 5.5 higher.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because he had what? He had 7 last week? 6.
6 and against the Commanders.
Now negative script, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I do really like Laporta. Let's see here.
Laporta, 5 receptions, 51.5.
Those all seem super fair. I mean, I like him in BRs. Maybe he's more of a BR play.
Yeah, I think JMO's probably more of a BR play. I think you could do rushing and receiving on Gibbs. He had 74 last week. It's at 78.5 at home in a really good game environment. I like having multiple outs to Gibbs getting there.
Yeah, we don't have fantasy points on him yet, huh? He's somebody that I would really love to do fantasy points, but I'm cool with doing the total yards for Gibbs on the higher.
Yeah. We're going to need to get a little spicy here on this last one. We're only at 6.72. I just want to see what a random line puts us at. That gets us up to a 12.4. So we might need a touchdown.
Well, I was going to play. Well, I'm going to put the Rachaad White spice.
Oh yeah. That's what we're getting the spice on the Rachaad White. You're right.
Yeah. So I have Rachaad White receptions spice, Baker Mayfield passing yards. Is that what we said for the higher?
Yeah.
And then Jahmyr Gibbs higher. Right now, this is 13x.
With the spice.
Just these 3.
Yep. Wait, I have 4 in mind. I have Baker, Godwin, Rachaad.
Oh, Godwin. Okay.
We'll keep that 5.5 receptions for some continuity.
Yeah. And then, so if I add Godwin's receptions. Oh, sorry. My search bar got a little wonky on me.
Do you know what I'll do? I think I got to use my 69.5.
There you go.
Special here on Amon-Ra. But see if you can lock yours in and send it to me, and I'll see if I pull it up on stream, if it carries over.
Okay. I'm about to, I just put it in. It's a pick 4 with Baker passing yards higher, Jahmyr Gibbs total yards higher, Chris Godwin higher, 5.5 receptions, and Rachaad White higher, 5.5 receptions. I'm trying to do the paste from. Okay, nice. All right, I put it
Okay.
in private chat. I'm gonna share this one with you guys in the stream chat as well. Should
Yeah.
be able to see that at least on the BadgeBros channel. I'm not sure if that'll carry over to your end. Oh yeah, see, it's showing
It's
3
not.
picks.
So if I make it on my phone, will it work?
It should. I'll DM it to you over Discord. So
Yeah,
you
DM
can.
it to me over Discord and I'll try. But yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, just it must not be obviously there for desktop yet, but I love using those sliders where because you can get spicy without having to do like the touchdowns thing, or you can do like 2 touchdowns. Like I think that's also kind of a fun angle. I did that last night to no avail, but when you get that 1 touchdown and you just like, oh man, I just need one more. Oh, it's a fun little sweat.
Yes. All right.
18x for that.
I will get that one figured out on my phone later. Let's build our spice bomb here.
Okay. Real spice bomb.
Yes, a real one. Who is the one we said? Oh, Xavier Worthy is what we're starting with.
Yes, yeah, no question. With like the 1.5x on the touchdown, forget about it.
Yeah. All right. Worthy coming here 1.4. Who else are our new dudes? Who's scoring a touchdown this week? What was the Jameson? 1.4.
I kind of love that.
Yeah, I feel like it's on brand.
I'm such a sucker for my guy. I'm trying to follow along here. Okay, so Xavier Worthy,
McBride's 1.5. McBride's higher than odds than Xavier Worthy and Jameson.
Load it up.
He's in.
All right, we're already at 18. I think. What do you think? One more, or do you want to just like you don't want to get too crazy?
No, let's do one more. Let's feel something. Let's feel alive.
Let me look at these games here and try to find one that I think can be truly spicy. What is there's no way we're getting anything like juiced up on Kyron, right? No, he's 0.9x.
Kyron, yeah, that's not going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. No, that's not going to cut it.
0.9. Yeah. Let's see here. Let anyone in the chat have a fun one here. Nick's rushing touchdown. Amari Cooper 2 TDs. Oh god, Najee 2 TDs. You guys are sliding.
Yeah, the 2 TDs are fun. That's more of a mobile play. But because you can't slide that here.
Wow, only 1.1x.
I know. I wish that was more. Anthony Richardson's only 1.1 as well. I do really like.
Dude,
I like him.
We're getting juiced on Jefferson to score.
Okay, let's do that.
Let's not supposed to be allowed. That's not supposed to be allowed.
1.2 as well. Yeah, sign me up. Thank you.
No, because that's when by the end in a week that's going to be a 0.9 for him to score.
Yeah, no, we should do that.
All right, so that gets us to a 39 for 4 guys: Xavier Worthy, Jameson, Trey McBride, Justin Jefferson. That's fun. I feel more confident in this one. Right.
Oh, Pete, let's go.
Hey, not financial advice.
No,
everyone determined your own. All right, here's this in the private chat. Little spice bomb there. And I was able to get it, the other one working on mobile, Nez, with your Rashad White spice.
Okay, sick. Yeah, Pete, I saw that you followed me on the Vultures touchdown play in week 1. Man, I was doing an experiment where I wasn't sweating anything during that, so I had no idea like what was really happening, and totally forgot I even had that in play. So that was kind of a fun surprise.
And to be completely honest, so I get the notification that you just hit this one on that, and I was like, sweet, and whatever, and I couldn't remember where it was from, and I was like, I'm looking at these and I'm like, I don't think I put this together. And then I went to your feed and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this was a Nez special, and then I remembered that I had tailed you from your feed.
I appreciated the shout out. I honestly forgot about that, but I will say I'm not doing that ever again. I am sweating from here on out. That was actually like less fun than actually sweating and following along, like not knowing, especially when I came back to my phone and saw people were like, oh, like you got to sweat in the dog bowl. Like that actually made it a lot worse.
Yeah. It's everyone has to kind of figure out their own like way to sweat. Mine this year is like is driven kind of by like April's schedule. So her nap actually lines up really well. She's generally taking like hour and a half or 2 hour nap right at the 1 p.m. kickoff.
Oh,
But
perfect.
so like my thing is like I'm gonna watch the 1 p.m. games. I'll get 10, and then unless I have like a sick sweat. Like I took April to the park last week
Oh,
at like
that's
4.
my
I was
go-to.
yeah, just get out of it. And it's just like whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, like if after the 1 o'clock games, like I'm kind of feeling kind of gross if like I sat on the couch the whole time and don't have any sweats. I'll like go to the gym and listen to Red Zone or something after, like try to do something and distract myself from the fact that like I know I don't have any sweats. But I'll be able to do that this week too with only 3 afternoon games. Be able to tell pretty early if I've got anything to sweat. But I like these pick'ems. I like these drafts. This is a really fun and for me a strongly condensed slate. So I'll be able to tell right away if I'm live.
Yes. Yeah, we'll definitely know pretty early on. I will mention Deposit Kingdom League is already 17% full. So yeah, this is going to be filling quickly. I'm hoping it makes it to the Saturday AM crowd. But who knows? Probably not.
I know everyone's
Um,
got like projections saying that like in the chat, like, oh, this isn't gonna make it till the end of the show. I think we can make it till tomorrow. I think
yes.
they moved it all the way to the end too, by the way.
Yeah.
So Numi must have heard you.
All right. Let's power this down. We'll get John Warner back in the saddle next week. Like I said, right after this, I'm going to go get uploaded my video on the Deposit Kingdom. So if you want more, I talked about a couple of them, but a few of the spots we didn't fully get to today that I really like. So I go through my 5 gems and then 3 kind of ideas for attacking drafts. And then I hop in some drafts and see how it works. I also just want to give a shout out to, I completely forgot to mention this on a show today. So Jay Fresh, who's a ship chaser and in the Deposit Kingdom Discord, solo shipped the showdown on Redacted yesterday for $1 million. Jay Fresh, dude.
Unbelievable, man. I met him at the
Insane.
Dog Bowl. Super nice guy.
Yeah.
Unfucking believable, man. He's at Showdown, like I mean, he's always grinding Showdown. So awesome
Yeah.
to see that for him, man. I mean, unbelievable. Couldn't have happened to a better guy. I mean, what a year for the kingdom, dude.
Yeah, Jay Fresh, such a good dude in there and just well deserved. I just can't even imagine because again, like people have big scores on those, but you're normally duplicated 10 times and it's like $100,000. Like that is so sick. Or it'd be like 150,000 if you get 10th place and you're duplicated. And it's like a solo ship for $1 million on that big of a slate is unreal.
It's so dope.
So
Man. Shout out Jay Fresh.
have yourself a day and yeah, really kind of messing up the Deposit Kingdom moniker when you're shipping.
Yeah,
We don't do that
sharp
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
All right. Nez, let the people know any other programming notes for people on BadgeBros.
Yeah, nothing until Monday. We like to let everybody else kind of cover the Sunday slates and stuff for content wise. I have thought about maybe doing something tomorrow for the primetime Palooza that's coming up because otherwise we won't have any content for that. We'll see. That'll be behind the paywall if I end up going live there. But otherwise, we'll see you Monday. John will be back in his humble abode. I know we miss him very much. So yeah, that's on tap for us.
Awesome. Yeah. And then for me, the usual shows, like I said, Deposit Kingdom video dropping shortly. Tomorrow night, people around here will be interested in this. I am doing DFS After Dark with Gumby. Some of you guys know him.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, he's been spinning up some Sims, so excited to meet him for the first time, talk a little Sims. We'll do obviously some more Battle Royale focused content that is available for YouTube members on my channel. And then Sunday morning, we'll have the cram as usual, cramming for week 2. We'll do redacted salary cap stuff. We will do underdog drafts, some more pick'ems, all of that good stuff on Sunday. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hop in those Deposit Kingdom drafts. Hop in the Deposit Kingdom Discord. Join us. BadgeBros channels, premium channels, best ball channels, everything going on in the Deposit Kingdom Discord. And with that, we will see you guys next time on Off and on the Clock.
Peace.